Hey, I'm back, and today we're going to talk about linear equations written in slope-intercept form. I don't know if you can see me, but we are going to focus on actual equations today. So, slope-intercept form is very similar to what you learned in 7th grade dealing with lines that were proportional and using constant proportionality. In 7th grade, you wrote that as y equals kx. In 8th grade, we're actually using slope. If you remember, something that was proportional had to go through the origin. If it is linear, it does not have to go through the origin. We use y equals mx plus b. What do these letters represent? Well, the two things that we need to focus on today, M stands for the slope. Slope is always rise over run, and I'm going to show you in just a second what that is. And B represents the y-intercept, and I will show you what the y-intercept is. So looking here, I have two lines graphed. We're going to focus on the blue line. If you would, look at it with me. In order to find the slope, we need to find 2 points on that line. I myself see 2 points already, but I'm going to point out to you. You remember, this is the y-axis, the vertical axis, the horizontal line is the x-axis. So if I were to look, I can see that it crosses the y-axis here, and it crosses the x-axis here. Rise over run. So what we're doing is we are making a right triangle with these 2 points. Lucky for us, that right triangle is already there and easy to see. So we're going to count the rise, which means how far up it is from the right angle. So we start here, and as we move our pencil, that's 1 space. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it rose 6. We're going to start at that right angle again, and we're going to see how far did it run, how far did it go over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our rise is 6 and our run is 6. We all know that 6 divided by 6 is 1. So on this blue line here, our slope, which we use as m, is 1. Now, if you look a little closer at my graph, I can also see that there's a point here. Oops, sorry about my marker. Okay. So if I make a right triangle with that, it would go here and here. So if I looked at the rise would be 1, and the run would be 1. 1 divided by 1 is 1. Oh, I see another point that it goes through, which is right here. So let's make a triangle here. Let's see how far up it rises. Remember, I start at the right angle, and as I move my marker, I count. 1, 2, 3 is the rise. Let's see what the run is. 1, 2, 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. If you remember in the first video, I told you if it goes up to the right, it's positive. So no matter what 2 points I pick on this line, I will always get 1 as the slope. So we can start our equation as y equals 1x, because we're replacing the m up here with 1 because we determined the slope is 1. Now the b is the y-intercept. Where does this line cross the y-axis? Well, I know that this is the origin. This is where the 2 axes meet. And I'm going to count up, and I'm going to count by positives because going up is positive, going down is negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it crosses the y-axis at 6. So then I write plus 6 because it is a positive 6. Remember, I put my pen, my marker, my pencil, and as I move it, that's when I count. I don't count until I actually move my marker. All right, so I know I'm going kind of fast, but let's see if we can find the equation for the bottom line. We're going to start with finding 2 points on the line. Now this one, I made it a little bit more difficult. It's not going to be each line, but I can see here it crosses, and I can see here it crosses. So I'm just going to make a right angle, right triangle. Sorry, it's kind of hard to hold my phone and do this at the same time. Okay, so now again, I'm going to count the rise over the run. I'm going to start at the right angle, and I'm going to go up. 1, 2 is the rise. Now let's count the run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my slope on this one, m, is 2 over 7. Okay? So now let's find where does it cross the y-axis. But let's look. Is that line going up to the right? Nope. It's going up to the left, which means it is what? And I hope you all said negative. Negative 2/7. Now we have to find where does it cross the y-axis. That's actually one of our points right here. This is where it crosses the y-axis. Wherever this is, that's the y-intercept. So I again start at the origin and I'm going down. So this time I'm not going to count positives, I'm going to count negatives. Each time I move my pen or my marker, I count. -1, -2, -3, -4. So this one crosses at -4. So B is going to be -4. So my equation here would be y equals -2/7 x minus 4. All right, so that's how you look at a line and determine what it is. Now, how do we look at an equation and figure it out? Well, it's even easier in the equations. So if I gave you the equation y equals 2x plus 1, remember, I always rewrite my equations. What is my equation? My equation is y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. So what is the slope of this line? M equals 2, and the y-intercept, b, equals 1. Sometimes we get tricky ones. Y equals 1/2 x plus 4. All right, so I meant to put -1/2 x plus 4. So now what is the slope? Well, m would not just be 1/2 because the x is actually being multiplied by -1/2. And b, the y-intercept, would be 4.
I can do this.
Yes, be very careful. Put it down for me, okay? All right, another tricky.
I'm not gonna
Here,
cut my
okay, you can
hand.
cut that paper.
No.
Another tricky one would be y equals 4x. All right, I know that my equation should be y equals mx plus b. So if I'm looking back up here, y equals mx, well, y equals 4x. So m would be the 4, so the slope is 4. But what is the b? There is no b. If there's nothing, what do we write? 0. So this equation is actually a proportional line, a proportional equation because it goes through the origin. Another tricky one would be one written as y equals 5. Well, we know that it should be written as y equals mx plus b. So what is x being multiplied by? I think to myself, there is no x. What can I multiply x by to get no x? Well, I hope you just said 0. The slope here is 0, and the y-intercept is 5. Meaning this line, if you remember, anything that has a slope of 0 is, good job, Brady, is a horizontal line. So it's a straight line like this, and it's going to cross the y-intercept at 5. So if you look back over here at my graph, my messy graph, I'm going to find 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's this point right here. And it's horizontal, meaning it goes this way. So that line right there would be y equals 5. It has no slope, and it goes through the y-axis at 5. All right, I went kind of fast today. I'm going to leave you with 9 problems that I would like you to try. You probably need to push pause. Ooh, that's my foot. You probably need to push pause in order to be able to see this because I'm not going to leave it up here very long. And I will put the answers in the comments later today. Come back later and I will do a video on linear equations using standard form. Hope you have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions.